get perspective on this matter that snowballed into what some people cannot really get hold of. Let's get perspectives on this matter. Senator Matthew Rohide, a member of the Ethics Committee who indicted Senator Ndume, joins us from our Abuja studio alongside a former member of the House of Representatives and a lawyer, Mr. West Idahosa. Many thanks, gentlemen, for staying with us on the program. Let me begin with you, Senator Rohide. Doesn't it look too harsh for someone who was concerned, perhaps innocently, about a fellow colleague or his colleagues and said what people are saying about them are not good and it should be investigated? It turns out that a whistleblower is now being hit hard.
Well, thank you very much, Shehu. You just asked pointedly, does it not seem too harsh? I do not believe that what has been meted out by the Senate to one of its members is too harsh, because the consequences of showing to the Nigerian public that the integrity of our colleague or one of his colleagues and the integrity of the institution that was put to test by that accusation, if we were to balance the two, of course, you look at it that what has been done, is supposed to serve as a direct consequence for, wrongful accusation, and then, of course, paying a price that will serve as a deterrent to others, who, of course, maybe in the future want to, put the integrity of that institution, on the balance. And just like you heard, the committee looked at all the issues concerned, called all the parties concerned, and everyone was allowed, to defend all his actions and all trances, both on the floor of the Senate, when this whole drama began, and all the other persons that were invited and all the discussions that are held even outside the Senate. And when they appeared and the defense was, put up by them, we came to the conclusion that our colleague, Senator Ndume, who is very knowledgeable in Parliament, his main National Assembly since 2003, ought to have done some due diligence, ought to have made some checks before coming to the public and calling to question the integrity of this senator and then, of course, the institution that he belongs to.
Senator Rohide, if I may quickly butt in here.
All the facts were evaluated.
Let me butt in here. Let me butt in here, Senator Rohide. If the Senate hears or see a publication about a senator, and would the senators be concerned about that matter, or will just ignore it? Or do you think that such an allegation that is being peddled outside of the Senate chamber shouldn't have been given any attention at all?
Look, I want to say that there is no pronouncement. Neither has there been any action that anyone has made within and outside the Senate that the Senate has not reacted to. I mean, only yesterday, you find out that on the headlines of most of our national dailies, some allegations were made, about a senator having, some number of vehicles in his compound, and that custom had invaded his, his premises, and of course, carted the vehicles away, casted aspersions on the person of that senator, and of course the Senate. Well, the senator, in his wisdom, came to the floor of the Senate and raised this as an issue, of importance to him and of course to the Senate. And when the matter was raised on, personal explanation, with Order 43, he presented the matter before the Senate. And of course, the matter was not discussed, but he had gone ahead to say that he was going to sue the newspaper for that mispresentation. But luckily this morning, after I got in touch with them, the headlines, came up again, saying that they had retracted the story and that they were sorry. And he came again under Order 43 this morning to say that now that they had apologized, that he had forgiven them. So what I'm saying, there's no action that will be taken either by members of the Senate or people outside that will tend to, impugn on the integrity of any of his members and the institution that will not be attacked. All the issues will be addressed.
Okay.
We must proceed what is factual.
Let me quickly let Honorable Wesley also weigh in on this one. Legally speaking, the issue of suspending a fellow lawmaker by his colleagues has been tested in the law in court. Even Senator Dino Melaye suffered a similar fate when he was in the House of Representatives. And it looks so much that the court has rested this case that it doesn't look like the lawmakers have the right to suspend one of their own. What can you tell us about the stand of the law on this one?
Well, thank you, Sheung. They indeed can suspend one of their own, but they must follow the procedure. The procedure to suspend apparently have been provided in Order 67 of the Senate rules, clearly. And then what the Senate has done is that by Rule 12, by Sub-Rule 12, they have put an omnibus provision there that nothing shall preclude the Senate from proceeding against one of their own by a resolution. But my submission on that is that that resolution must be in accordance with the rules of the Senate. And indeed, you cannot suspend a senator for more than 14 days, unless, of course, after he has been named on the floor and he has been asked to leave, he refuses to leave, and then the Senate President reports to the Senate. Thereafter, the Senate shall, by a resolution, suspend such a senator until the Senate so decides. But I don't think this is what has happened. And then, of course, don't also forget that there's a question of vacation of seat. When you ask a senator to go home for 6 months, it amounts to a vacation of seat. And in my opinion, that is tantamount to saying you lose your right to representation, and that is against the provisions of Section 68 of the Constitution, which sets out the mode for vacating a seat. And suspension is not one of them. So I do say that the courts have said you can suspend one of your own, but follow the rules. It's not enough to say you have passed a resolution to suspend somebody for 6 months. The question is, did you follow the rules that you have given to yourself? So I have no doubt that Ndume will challenge this, and that the courts will affirm his challenge very well, because the authorities are legion on this matter. All
right. Well, it's a good time for us to take a break on the program. And when we come back, more on these issues and the Senate probe into Professor Sage's comment. That's next on the program. Join us again.